A lot of people, they're hesitant to jump into, especially an automated webinar. And what I mean by this is to do an automated webinar themselves or an automated sales funnel or even host a live webinar themselves because they've been on the wrong and the bad end of some like sleazy, slimy sales presentation, or somebody pretending that their pre recorded webinar was live and just lying to them, that sort of thing.
No, please don't do
And
that.
That's terrible.
it
Yeah.
used to be the standard, like everybody used to do that. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. So I didn't do it that way. I was worried when I made those decisions that my funnel wouldn't convert if I did not stoop to those lows, basically, because everybody else seemed like said, you have to do it this way because this is how you get results. And so I went out on a limb and I tried, and I was so delighted to find that I could get actually even better results while telling the truth and being authentic and being honest.
So what we're going to do for you is on today's episode, break down a successful funnel that's powered by YouTube traffic. As a Facebook and Instagram ads manager, well, I love working with clients, but some of the hardest clients to work with are the ones that have YouTube channels because YouTube videos warm up a lead like nothing else. And so I've invited a guest. She has quite a large YouTube channel just north of, at this point, what is it, Gillian? Would you say 700,000?
Yeah, a little bit more than that.
All right. And what Gillian's going to do is break down her funnel so you can see what a funnel might look like if you choose to reverse engineer for yourself. And let me go ahead and introduce her. Gillian Perkins is the CEO of Startup Society. She's a YouTuber and the host of the Work Less, Earn More podcast. She teaches people how to start and build profitable online businesses that allow them to earn passive income and live a flexible lifestyle. And on the personal side of things, Gillian is a Christian mom who homeschools her 5, and at the time of this recording, not quite yet 6 kids, but on the way, number 6 is coming. She and her family live on a 15-acre property in Oregon, which, if you don't know, is just south of my home state of Washington. In her free time, Gillian enjoys cooking, gardening, and watercolor painting. Welcome back, Gillian, for the second episode. This should be a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I always love talking sales funnels, getting into those numbers.
I mean, I always say that, something Jamie says too is, what's the point of bringing in leads if we don't have a funnel that converts leads into sales effectively? Because I do believe that, God put you here on the earth with skills and passions to help people and help them have that transformation. And so part of that is a good funnel. So you want to start off with a little bit about your YouTube channel, and then let's get into the juicy stats and how your funnel looks.
Yeah. So I've been doing YouTube for 6 or 7 years now. Um, but when people hear that and they see that I'm at 700, they sometimes think, oh, it takes that long to be successful on YouTube. And I just want to let people know it doesn't really. Um, After the first, it took me 15 months to get my first 100,000. And I've seen plenty of other people repeat that rate of growth. Um, and even after the first year, I had 55,000 subscribers, and that was plenty to have a very successful business based on like plenty of leads, plenty of traffic for a very successful business. And my channel has grown and kept growing, and it's actually slowed down in the past few years. I used to grow by like 10,000 new subscribers every month. Now it only grows by 2 or 3,000 every month, and that's okay. I feel very comfortable with this rate of growth and things just still moving in the right direction. I just don't want to see things dying, of course. But don't think you have to be in it for such a long game that you're going to have to do it for 6 or 7 years before you get results or something like that. So as far as the YouTube channel itself goes, I make videos about online business, how to start an online business, and digital marketing. And that's just a passion of mine. So I started talking about it on YouTube, like I said, 6 or 7 years ago, and haven't shut up about it since. I started out with 1 video a week, then I went to 2 for a while, then I went back to 1. I think in our previous episode, we break down that strategy a little bit, QUÄY.jo, and talk about, how many videos you should make for what stage of growth. And at this point, I'm just kind of in maintenance mode with my YouTube channel. So I just make 1 video a month just to keep the thing healthy and alive, right? But I'm not in like an active growth mode with it. And it sends a lot of traffic to my website and into my funnels. This is a fun little stat kind of that I recently discovered. I haven't talked about this anywhere. So I've been working on my overall site SEO. And so I signed up for some new like SEO tools and software, and I've been looking at the numbers. And one thing that those tools let you do is they let you look at your competitors. You can spy on your competitors and you can see like how much traffic they're getting and what keywords are sending traffic to their sites. And I typed in the names of some of my biggest competitors who have way bigger and more active audiences on other social media channels than me. People who like they've got all the engagement on Instagram or on Facebook or on, LinkedIn or Twitter. And I thought based on that, that even though I had this big successful YouTube channel, I knew they had successful podcasts and I could see all that engagement. And so I thought that they were so far ahead of me. And I looked at their website traffic and was pleasantly surprised to find that I was well ahead of most of them with my one YouTube channel, and all I do is make one video a month at this point. So that was a pleasant surprise and made me feel it was just like gratifying or confirming that like I don't need that hustle of the constant posting on social media to get the traffic and to get the leads. My one video a month is cutting it and it is bringing in plenty of traffic to keep up with the competition. Not that that's the most important thing at all, but it made me feel like I'm doing a good job.
I mean, that's
That's
stellar, right?
encouraging. Yeah. Right.
So start with what your landing page looks like, because I'm sure that's what the listener is thinking at the beginning of a funnel.
Sure. Okay. So I'll start a tiny bit before that. So people come onto YouTube, they don't know I exist probably, but either they're searching for help with a specific thing or YouTube just suggests one of my videos to them. And that's why I love YouTube is because they've built this incredible algorithm, spent millions of dollars building this algorithm designed to match viewers with videos they want to watch. So where with, Facebook ads or Google ads or anything like that, we are having to pay and do sometimes some hard work to try to find the right like target customer and audience and whatnot for those ads to be served to. YouTube, they do that work for you. And then when they successfully serve your ad, your video, okay, they pay you. Like, you can't beat
Oh,
that,
cool.
right?
Right.
So it's like,
That's
yeah,
right.
it's kind of an obvious choice. Anyway, so people find me on YouTube. They watch normally a couple of my videos. And I try to include an opt-in offer in every single one of my videos, some sort of call to action to convert the person from YouTube to my email list. Because as incredible as YouTube is for visibility and discoverability, right? And even getting that lead, and I think building a strong relationship with the person too. Most sales do not happen on YouTube. I make very few sales directly from my videos. Most of my sales come from email marketing. So I want to get them over into my email list. So I've got a call to action. Now I know that some of my call to actions convert much better into paying customers. So for example, webinars, they really are the gold standard, at least in my business. And I see this in a lot of my clients' businesses as well, or if you can get someone to sign up for a webinar, then you're going to be converting roughly 5% of that traffic into paying customers ultimately. Whereas if you get someone to sign up for like a PDF checklist, then you're looking at 1% or less. So I prefer to promote my webinar, but I don't always because I think it's important to have some variety. Not everybody wants to sign up for a webinar. So I try to put it out there frequently enough that everybody will hear about it at least once. But I also give them other options in case that's not appealing to them for one reason or another. Because I'd rather get them on my email list and still be able to convert 1% of them at least rather than not get them on my list at all. And also, once they've been on my email list, I'm going to tell them about that webinar a few more times. And so they might end up deciding that they actually do want to once they hear a little bit more about it. Anyway, so call to action in every video takes them to a landing page, as you mentioned. And I have several landing pages. Maybe several is the wrong word. We've got a couple, a few, several. I have many landing pages. That's a better word. Probably a couple dozen for different opt-in offers. And that I've kind of gone back and forth about how I feel about that. Like, is that too many? Am I spread too thin? I see some people with a lot more than me and some people with a lot fewer, like only one or two. But I've come to the conclusion that it's good and it works. And I think the important thing is that you don't try to have a couple dozen different funnels running at the same time because there will be so little traffic in each of them. You can't test them very well, not meaningful statistics, that sort of thing. You can't really optimize that many different funnels. So I try to have my different opt-in offers grouped for specific offers that I'm selling. So, for example, for offer A, there might be several lead magnets, but they all go into the same funnel. So I just have one funnel for each of my offers that I'm selling, basically three different offers. Um, but yes, a bunch of different opt-in offers at the top of each of those. And there is one though, and we're going to talk mainly about one specific funnel for one specific product, which is the funnel for my Creator Fast Track course. So Creator Fast Track, it's my YouTube strategy course. It's for people who are just getting started on YouTube. It teaches them how to get their first 1,000 subscribers and get monetized in just 3 months. So I sell this course for between $500 to $1,000, depending on like what promotion we're running or whether people enter the funnel or watch the webinar or not, but in that range. And the number one lead magnet that I use to promote it is our webinar, which has a title very similar to the title that I just mentioned is the outcome of the course. 3 secrets to reach 1,000 subscribers and get monetized on YouTube in just 3 months. And I did that very intentionally, right? I want there to be a match between what they're signing up for freebie wise and what the outcome of the course is, so that I make sure I'm attracting the right leads. And I think that's
Gillian,
a
can I
really important
interrupt
thing
you
to
for a
do.
moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I have 2 questions. One, is it a live webinar? And then also, what call to action works best for getting someone to go see the lead magnet? Is there a way to track video to conversion rate?
Okay, so as far as if it's a live webinar, nope, this is a fully automated evergreen sales funnel. And I'm very transparent about that whenever I advertise the webinar. In fact, I advertise it as a feature, not a bug. It's not like, oh, well, it's not live, nothing like that. No, this is an on demand pre recorded workshop that you can watch at, whatever time is convenient for you. That way people can watch it. I mean, they can watch it at whatever time is convenient for them, right? And we actually do instant access for it. So what that means is like when people sign up for the webinar, they can watch it right then. We don't make them schedule it for a future date and time. We used to do that. And the theory on it was, that it kind of created some scarcity maybe, and it got them more excited about it, built some anticipation, et cetera, et cetera. And I was worried that if we gave them instant access, that the retention rate on the webinar would go way down, that people would start watching it right away, but they wouldn't keep watching it. But we've actually seen exactly the opposite, that our retention rates stayed great. They dipped ever so slightly, like we're talking from like 80% to 78% or something like that, tiny little dip. But the show up rate, of course, went through the roof, because before we were seeing like a 25% show up rate. So after people signed up for the webinar, only 25% of them would actually end up watching it. And now we have over a 50% show up rate. So huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of YouTube. Like what I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, it's worth the time that it takes to build a channel, build a rapport, because these leads come in hot. Like I'm not surprised that the show up
Mm-hmm.
rate is so high, right?
Yeah. I will say that, if we don't give them that instant access, I don't think it's any higher than you see with most other, well, I don't know. Compared to just like a PDF lead magnet, maybe from a blog, I'm sure it is higher. I haven't done that in a few years because it doesn't work very well. But compared to other social media or podcasting, it might be similar, but you give them that instant access and it shoots way up.
Well, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're going from a video on YouTube to a video webinar format. So it's a like format, and I'm guessing, because like you said, there's no way to track, but I'm guessing if somebody's watched a video and then responds to a call to action, they're still in the mood to watch another video. So instant access.
Mm-hmm.
No, but there is actually plenty of ways to track. I mean, you can decide how you want to track it, but basically with UTMs is going to be your most robust way to track those conversions. It's a little too robust for me, to be honest. I don't care enough to go to the extra headache of that. But we can use a link on YouTube different from the links we use other places, right? And we can track them that way at least. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty and see that whole customer journey, UTMs are the way to do it.
I was also curious,
Mm.
when you say instant access, does that mean you're using a software to serve up instant access, or you're going like directly thank you page, or opt in to thank you page, and on that thank you page is the video right there.
That's right. Yep. We used to use all sorts of different fancy webinar softwares, and once we realized instant access created better results, and it was like, well, then we can just self-host this thing. We don't need to pay for a webinar software also. And so what we do is they sign up for the webinar, and then they get taken to the webinar right then. And below the webinar, that's on a page of our website, is the sales page, so that they can see all the details of the product and the offer right there. And we see about so when I do that webinar live, and this might discourage some people, but I think that this is just, the facts of the matter and still good. Anyway, when I do this webinar live, I see conversion rates as high as 20 to 25%. Not every single time, sometimes it's only 10%, but multiple times we've had 20, 25% conversion rates, which I feel like is exceptional. When we do it evergreen, it drops hugely. Okay, it drops down to about 5%. Okay, so huge drop. Now I should say, it's not dropping from 20 to 25 down to 5. It's dropping from, generally 10 or so down to 5. But
About half. That's expected.
yeah, it's about half. And that's what I found overall with evergreen webinars, automated webinars, is that it's typically half of live. And so sometimes people hear that and they think, oh, well, then I should only do live. And I do think that there is a case, or like there are situations where live is definitely better. If your business is really small and you have a small number of leads coming in and you really want to hustle it, it might serve you well to do a live webinar every single week. But once you have a lot of leads coming in and you're not as desperate for every single sale you can crank out of it, you can save yourself a lot of time. Going back to the title of my podcast, Work Less, Earn More. We can work a lot less if we automate this thing. We've got this recording that's just running in the background constantly. It's convenient for the customer because they can watch it whenever they want to. So that it's a win-win opportunity, right? Yes, it cuts the conversion rate down to 5%, but you get so many more people showing up for it because people can sign up for it and watch it whenever they want. So it ends up resulting in a similar number of sales, even though the conversion rate is significantly lower. And then that's not the end of the funnel either, because they're on your email list now. The 95% of people who didn't buy after watching that evergreen webinar, well, you are going to convert a lot more of them, because after that, you're going to send them a sales email sequence. If they didn't watch through the webinar, you can send them some emails to remind them to go back and watch it, encourage them to do that. And if they don't buy after that sales email sequence, then we send them into an evergreen newsletter where they get a couple emails. And I mean that like one or two, not like two or three, a couple emails every single week that add value, and also invite them to watch that webinar again, because that is the best conversion tool. Occasionally open up the product for them to just buy via email and kind of do a mini email launch. And then also sometimes promote a wait list to them. And whenever they take any of those actions, because most of those actions aren't asking them to buy now, okay? But if they take one of those other actions, signing up for the webinar, and actually, to be clear, they don't have to sign up for it again, but clicking to watch the webinar or clicking to get on the wait list, we've got tags inside of our kit, previously Convert Kit, email marketing account, tag rules set up so that when they click those links, they get a tag added that pushes them over into a sales sequence, okay? So if they say, I want to get on the wait list, well, then a week later, the program goes on sale for them and it gets promoted to them. So as you can see throughout this whole process, I really try to cater it to the customer and make sure that I'm selling to them when they're the most interested to buying. I didn't say that quite right. Make sure that I'm selling to them when they are most interested in buying, and also make sure that they can watch the webinar when they're most interested in watching the webinar. So I try to make it so that it's really easy for them and gives them what they need when they want it.
Let me make sure. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to back up really quick with the opt-in page. We like to kind of geek out on some stats. So what's the opt-in rate on that webinar registration page?
Yeah, if you want to hold on here a sec, I could actually pull up some stats. I don't have them in front of me.
While Gillian is looking for the stats, I'll take this time to directly promote the opposite of starting a YouTube channel, which is running Facebook and Instagram ads like I do.
It's going to be a tough sell, QUÄY.jo.
Right? But it's all about testing ad creative. And I was on a discovery call literally this morning
Mhm.
with a guy who had a website, and he is running ads to a low ticket offer, and on the back end of that offer, he's selling a membership. The
Mhm.
business is profitable, but his low ticket offer wasn't quite profitable yet. And so as I went to, his Facebook business page and the Facebook ad library to see what kind of ads he's running, I was like, "Oh, you're running one piece of ad copy with only two different visuals." I'm like, "We need to do some testing." And that's what the ad testing cheat code, which I'm going to talk about super quick, is all about. Just putting in the work, testing different words and different visuals so you can arrive at like the most, or like, let's say, the highest quality lead for the lowest quality cost, or for the lowest
Lowest cost.
lowest cost per lead. There we go.
There we go.
Right? Do I ever say this? And so if that is a struggle for you and you need to lower your lead costs for a low ticket offer, funnel, or even for lead magnets, then click down in the description below and you can have the same, well, of course, that teaches you the same process that I use for every single client to lower their lead cost. It's normally $37. And for you, it's $17. Back to you, Gillian. Was that enough time for you to get that?
Yes, yes. Oh, well, or at least almost. I'm looking at my spreadsheet now, and we're not currently tracking that particular stat. We try to keep our spreadsheet for our like funnel stats as simple as possible so that we can like pay attention to the numbers that we really want to work on changing. Um, and so what I discovered is that that's not a number that we're currently like actively tracking because it's been consistently very good. But I have the numbers on here to calculate it. So I calculated it real quick by like looking at the how many registrants we've gotten over the
You're
past
so
few
good to
months
us.
compared to how many views we've gotten on that page over the past few months. And it is 48% is our
Woo!
average for these past couple of
Woo!
months.
That's good.
But I gotta say, it's actually much higher than that most weeks. We had a couple weeks where we got an influx of a bunch of extra traffic that where it was like more from like an outside source, maybe not from YouTube, some colder traffic that adjusted that down. But most weeks we are looking at a well over 50% conversion rate on that page.
I love how you said in the spreadsheet you're tracking essentially the stats that matter. And that's the complexity of a funnel. There's so many conversion steps, right? And
Mhm.
we kind of just got to focus on like what the weakest link is to improve, which doesn't sound like it's your opt-in page. What what's been
So what
like,
are the stats that matter
yeah, what are the stats that
for
matter for your
you?
funnel?
Yeah, so right now, one of the things I'm keeping my eye on is actually just like, I mean, the fact that I had those two numbers on there. I had the views to the page, I had the registrants on there, but really, I want to make sure that both of those numbers stay healthy. Okay, I want to make sure because I'm only doing one YouTube video a month. And I talk about other topics other than YouTube. I talk about like business strategy and marketing. So I got to make sure that I am talking about YouTube frequently enough that I'm driving enough traffic to that page. And of course, there's lots of evergreen videos that I've created in the past that are driving traffic as well, more passively, which is great. It creates a baseline. But just to keep like the revenue up from that funnel, and at the level I want it to be, I do need to be putting out some fresh content. So it just kind of like allows me to almost literally keep my eye on like the pulse and make sure that it's continuing to beat steady how I want it to.
Mhm.
I like it.
Nice.
And then we also, one of the other stats that we look at, and again, this is just kind of big picture, is the overall funnel conversion rate. Because again, we want to make sure that we are like consistently converting those leads, not just that leads are coming in, but that we are turning them into sales. So what you can probably tell from those stats that I'm tracking is that we are not in like an active testing mode for this funnel right now at all. We are not really working on optimizing it. We're just trying to make sure that it's staying healthy and staying alive and keeping running at a good rate. And that is like the beauty of an evergreen funnel is that once you get it working, you do a little bit of maintenance here and there, but for the most part, it just keeps plugging away and doing what it's doing.
Mhm. Nice. So what does your sales email sequence look like? Like what types of emails are you sending in the automation?
Yeah. Well, I'll start by saying I keep it pretty short and sweet. If people are ready to buy, then I want to give them the opportunity to buy right away. But I don't want to wear out, exhaust, annoy people who aren't ready to buy yet. And so My theory on that is keep it short and sweet. We have a 72-hour sales period after the webinar, where the program is available for them to buy and at a good price for 72 hours. They get an average of just under 2 emails a day, basically about an email every 12 hours throughout that period. Um, and my email, just this is my personality. I tend to be pretty like no fluff, straightforward. And
You
so
don't say.
my emails are not very like, I'm going to tell you a story, or plan your emotions or things like that. Like I, I try to balance it. About half the emails are like very cut and dry facts, and I don't mean just features. Okay, this could be benefits as well, but like this is what the outcome you're going to get from the program. This is why it's worth it, sort of thing. I love emails that have like an obvious structure to them. So, like my favorite email in the whole sequence, any sales sequence I write, is always the like frequently asked questions email, or these are some questions we've been getting recently sort of email. And I also love the last couple emails where you're like, these are just the hard facts that matter. They're just so straightforward. I love it. But I know that different people have different personalities, obviously, and that affects how they buy things. Like some people, they make much faster decisions. Other people need a lot more time and a lot more information to feel comfortable. Some people, they are more kind of like left brained, kind of like I am, and they need more like the facts and the analytics and like it to be justified for the ROI, on the cost of it and whatnot. And other people, they're more emotional decision makers. And this kind of goes to like Myers Briggs, are you an INTJ or an INTP or, that sort of thing. Um, so I try to balance it on my sales page and with my emails where we make sure that like there's some shorter emails, there's some longer emails, there's some emails that do tell some stories or are more emotional, give more emotional reasons. And there's other emails that are the cut and dry facts so that ideally somebody, if I can keep them interested enough that they continue to consume the material, that they'll get to something that does it for them essentially. Right. Um, and I also think about that a lot, as I mentioned with the sales page. I think about where they're going to be coming from and how much information they'll have at that point in the funnel. So, for example, below the webinar video, I give them a lot of information. It's a pretty long sales page because I think it's important to give enough information for those people who need more information. But then later from the emails, sometimes I'm just linking to the cart or to a much shorter version of the sales page because they've had enough information at this point. So I don't want to kind of like give them another opportunity to back out or like to second guess it. They don't need more information. They just need the opportunity to buy at that point.
That is an important strategy. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked how somebody goes through the 72-hour sales sequence, right? And then they go into the newsletter. But you said in every newsletter, you do give a call to action to watch the webinar again?
Not in every newsletter because I don't want to like just desensitize them to it. So that's again going back to what I was saying about the opt-in offers. Like variety, I do think is important. So the majority, um, maybe 75% of those emails they get in the Evergreen newsletter has a call to action, an opportunity for them to raise their hand and say, I'm interested right now. Um, and it's split fairly evenly between watch the webinar, sign up for the wait list, and then actually offering them the product to buy.
Got you. My ears missed that it was an evergreen newsletter. So they're on this evergreen newsletter and they're not receiving your live weekly newsletters. It's all planned.
They get my live newsletter as well, at least sometimes, if that makes sense. Like they always are getting that evergreen newsletter every single week. And then I can decide when I'm sending out my live newsletter if I want to include, like, what groups of people I want to include. So if it's something that would be relevant to them, then I can send it to them. If I don't want to distract them, then I won't send it to them.
Okay. And then you've got this fancy automation that when somebody, quote unquote, raises their hand by either hopping on the wait list or choosing to watch the webinar replay, then they get an automated sales sequence.
Yeah, they get pushed into a different sales sequence, which is also a 72-hour, but it has different emails in it since I know they will have already gotten the previous emails.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right.
And they don't actually have to sign up for the wait list or actually watch the webinar. They just have to click the link. They just have to, like, barely raise their hand, I see you in the back there, with your
I
hand
see
peeking
you.
up sort of thing.
I see you. I see you. All right. What do you love the most about this funnel?
Probably just how passive it is, honestly. And I think it's fun to be able to have something that you can work on that really leverages your time and the effort that you put into it. So, because it is passive, essentially, when there is a problem with it, or when I do want to optimize some aspect of it, I can go in and I can spend an hour or two, depending on what it is. But sometimes it's a 15-minute thing, sometimes it's a 2 hour thing. And I don't just get a direct result from that, like right now. I get results for months and months and months after that, where the funnel will be converting better or will be converting again, if something had a problem. So yeah, I just love kind of the long-term results that I get from the work that I put into it. And I can't not also mention, if you're saying like, what's your favorite part? What I was talking about earlier, how it like really meets the customer where they're at. And I love that I can get the best results from serving the customer the best, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
I agree. Sounds like sounds like a good thing.
Because I know a lot of people, they're hesitant to jump into, especially an automated webinar, and what I mean by this is to do an automated webinar themselves, or an automated sales funnel, or even host a live webinar themselves, because they've been on the wrong and the bad end of some like sleazy, slimy sales presentation, or somebody pretending that their pre-recorded webinar was live and just lying to them, that sort of thing.
No, please don't
Oh,
do
yeah,
that.
And
that's
Yeah.
terrible,
it
yeah.
used to be the standard, like everybody used to do that. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. So I didn't do it that way. But I was worried when I made those decisions that my funnel wouldn't convert if I did not, stoop to those lows, basically, because everybody else seemed like said, you have to do it this way because this is how you get results. And so I went out on a limb and I tried, and I was so delighted to find that I could get actually even better results while telling the truth and being authentic and being honest.
Huh,
What
fancy
do you
that,
know? What do
right?
you know? Yeah.
Well, it's like I remember coaching somebody who, this was a long time ago, but they were an
Mhm.
influencer, and they had a webinar, and they kept pushing to continue faking that it was live, and I'm like, "No, why?" Like, this whole thing about doing business with integrity and people trusting you, like, people can pick up on a webinar that's not live, and you trying to make it feel live, and they're like, if that's like the first or second point of contact, and
Mhm.
they realize that you are faking something that isn't, well, then that's a reason to distrust you, and everything else you say in the funnel, like, they might be a little more skeptical. So it's like, why do that? Why risk
Just
that?
do it right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, the number one thing you have to get, meaning both like the first thing and the most important thing, just because nothing else comes after that, if you don't get this first, is somebody's attention, right? You got to get somebody to pay attention. But once you have their attention, the next thing that is necessary to precipitate the sale is their trust. You're not going to make the sale unless you have those two things, and they also have to come in that order. Not necessarily because attention is more important than trust, just literally you have to get them to pay attention to you, of course, because before you can get them to trust you. But if you don't have their trust, they're not going to buy.
Where can they find you if they want to learn more about you, get in touch with you, or hop into this funnel because they're interested in the course,
Or because you're interested in my funnel. Seriously, if you want to spy on
right?
my
We
funnel,
just
feel
wanna spy
free.
on your funnel.
Feel free to go through it. I did that to so many people. I wanted to learn how their systems worked. So, yeah, if you want to sign up for the webinar, either because you want to learn how about YouTube strategy, how to work with the algorithm to grow your channel as quickly as possible, or because you want to spy on my funnel, either way, you can go to creatorfasttrack.com and you'll see a couple opportunities there to sign up for that free training. As far as the last thing to leave people with, it would be this: the system that we talked about today. To some people, it might sound surprisingly simple. To other people, maybe many people, it might sound fairly complex and overwhelming. And like, that sounds amazing, but how would I ever set that up? Um, and I just want you to know that you set it up one piece at a time, just like how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time, or how you make any journey one step at a time, right? You do it one piece at a time. And you don't have to build the whole thing until you get results. That was something that was a myth I believed for a long time. And I even kind of taught it to people of like, you have to finish this project because you're not going to get any results from it unless you have a complete funnel. Like half a funnel doesn't do anything. But what I've learned at this point is that there are strategic ways you can build your funnel where you can have a single piece that does get results. It doesn't have to be fully built out and this complex before you get results. So, for example, when we're working with clients, we have them, first of all, live launch each component of their funnel as they create it. So, like when they make their webinar, they do it live so that they can get some results from it right then. They don't have to wait till they have the whole thing built. And then they take the recording from that as the first version of the recording that they use in their funnel. Later on, they might re-record it. Most people end up doing that at some point, to optimize it further, based on what they see with the stats and whatnot. But you can certainly use that as your first version as long as you got some conversions with it. And then you can layer in your sales sequence. And again, you can send those live first, and then you can pop them into your funnel. And every piece you add, if you do it right, it just is going to make the whole system convert better and better and make you more and more sales every month. But you don't have to try to like create the entire thing and then launch it out into the world and wait to that point before you're getting any results. And I actually wouldn't even recommend that, because what happens if you do that is you have no idea if it's going to work. And so you put all that time in up front, and it's a lot of time, and then you launch the whole thing, and most of the time, more often than not, it does not work. And you do not know why, because there are so many moving pieces and there are so many potential points of failure. And you can like kind of analyze, you can see like where kind of the traffic's dropping off or something like that, but it can be really tough to pinpoint the issue. Whereas if you create and release one piece at a time strategically, then you're able to assess each one as you release it and make sure that it's working before you build on top of it. So it's kind of like if you were building a house, like you would want to set the foundation first and check it, right? Make sure that it's sound before you're building on top of it. You wouldn't want to, I don't know how you'd even do this, but try to build the entire house all at the same time, right? Like be putting the windows in while you're also pouring the foundation. It wouldn't work. It'd be much more difficult, and it'd be more likely to create points of failure.
Right.
Mhm.
We need that feedback.
Thank you for
Sure.
sharing this.
Mhm.
Very practical, and I would say that again,
Mhm.
ultra practical and implementable advice, by the way. I always love when I have a moment to go behind the scenes and see how somebody has structured their funnel. Like I even have a folder on my computer. It's called like funnel hacking. And I'll take screenshots of sales pages and I'll just peruse them. And so I
I do this
appreciate,
as well. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. My like inspo files.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
So I'll just add, today we were talking about sales funnels, and then I talked about, if you're interested in YouTube strategy, you can go to Creator Fast Track. If you're interested in learning more about sales funnels, other than spying on my funnel, the other thing you could do is go to GillianPerkins.com, specifically GillianPerkins.com/100K. You can read there about how we work with clients to help them build funnels like this. And then also in the previous episode, QUAY.jo, we were talking about how I also have this podcast series that people can listen to if they just kind of want more free details. We went really deep today, but you'll still hear some like case studies and some cool things like that. That podcast series is called The 100K Method, and you have the link for that now, so you can share that with them. But it's just a 10-episode podcast that breaks down my funnel building method and how that works.